Alright, hey guys, welcome to day 35 of Road to Grandmaster. Alright, so today we'll continue the topic of Queen Endgames. Alright, and today we're gonna look at some very easy thing. Right, very easy thing. Alright, so today's topic is winning tactical tricks. Right, so it's not about like strategy or something, it's about tricks, right? So the queen is the strongest piece, therefore play for checkmate occurs in queen endgames more often than in other kinds of endings, right? Among others techniques, gaining a queen usually by skewer, check, and exchange of queen should be mentioned, right? So let's look at example. So this was the first example. So this position was white to play, right? And basically every example, every position today, you can try to pause the video if you want, right? To try to find the move first. Try to find the winning move first, right? So okay, just always feel free to pause the video, right? So this is the first example. In this position, the move here is c4, leading move, and right. So it is like a trick slot. So c4. Every capture of this pawn leads to a checkmate. For instance, takes, checkmate. Takes, sorry, checkmate. Let's say take with the queen. All right, checkmate. So you cannot take the pawn. All right, let's see what else can black do. This queen is hanging, and maybe there's some check. So let's say you play the move queen d3. Why force an exchange? By playing check, takes, and then we just simply have a pass pawn and just promote to a queen and just completely winning. If you play the move queen to e4 instead, okay, then again we go for check. Takes. Yeah, in this position you have pass pawn, but unfortunately our pawn promote with check. Right, so white is winning. Alright, if let's say you play queen a8, we go check. Only move you have to take. Otherwise king b4 we blunder checkmate after check and queen a3. So king takes d4, check, and then check, and it's a skewer. We win the queen. Let's say you play queen h1 in this position. Again we go for the same thing, check, and queen c6. Again it's a skewer. Let's say you go queen g8. Again same thing, we go check, skewer. So basically you can see like we can attack on the light square because yeah, and the queen don't have any square to go. Alright, so white is just winning. Alright, so this was the first example. Let's move on to the second one. Right, so it's actually very easy. It's not like it's not like a strategy, you know, so you don't have to understand them, right? Just some kind of tactics. Right, so it's very easy actually. Alright, let's see the second one. So this actually happens in the game, and this is the tragic comedies, right? As we know, a defense against the central pawn is practically always a hopeless matter. The simplest winning process here by black pieces, right, it's black to move, is can be for check. King c2, check, and we go king d2. Right, this is what we call a king to king. Right, we mentioned this in our previous video, in our last video actually. But miracles happen from time to time. So in this position, black pieces play the move e2. Can you find a move for white? Right. Yes, it's actually mate in 3. Queen g1, queen c1, queen c3, checkmate. And white win by miracle. Right. Alright, so let's move on to the second one. So basically everything we saw today, like every example is just pure tricks. Right, so this is the third example. Alright. Let's look at this position. So currently white's up a pawn. So now it's white to move. White king is in check. Right, in this position, if you play the move king h4, and queen e2 is very strong. Right, king h2 is met with queen e2 check, queen g1 check, queen e2 check, and queen d3 or queen c4, and the positions are actually equal. So the win chance can be only obtained by a king march to the pass pawn. So white pieces decided to play king to g4, which is a blunder. Can you spot the move for black? So black is actually winning here. So white had only expected queen e2 check, and now he played king f4. Yes. Or queen f5 check after king g4, king h4, queen f3, check, and check, and then white is winning. Right, because you exchange off the queen, and you just have an outside pass pawn. But what white missed is the move. So always look for CCT, check, capture, and threats. So check f5, and in this position white resigned because it's simply force mate. For instance, if you play g takes f6, alright, it's just mate in 2. Right, so it's like a clearance. There's no g pawn now after en passant. Yeah, so we can go check and checkmate on h5. If you go king h4, then just checkmate in 1. Yeah. Alright, so let's move on to the next one. Alright, so in this position, again, as always, feel free to pause the video. Alright, so this is actually an exercise. Try to find a move for black, so it's black to move. Alright, so the answer is f5, and it's actually kind of like zugzwang for white pieces. Now e2 does not win because of king e2, king f2, and white saved the e1 square. Even if you play queen d2 trying to promote, there's queen e1, and you can't win this position because you can't promote. You can never promote the pawn to a queen. So the move is f5. Then you might be like, what is f5? Now the idea of f5 is you want to go check, and if you look at white's position, he don't have any move. He simply don't have any move. Right, if you go like check, we can answer a check with a check and probably just promote next move. Right, so what can you do? So a5, because white have no move, it's kind of like too long, and now we'll go queen g7 check. And yeah, likes winning. Right. Problem is, if you go, so you only have f3, h4, h3, and h2. Obviously, h4 is a blunder because of skewer. So if you go to this 2 square, okay, we simply go trade the queen by any check, queen h6, queen h7, queen h8. Right, I'll just play it out, and then just push the pass pawn and promote to a queen and completely winning. So let's say go to f3. It is a skewer. There's a skewer, and that's how you win. Now you just simply win the queen. All right. So let's move on. Okay, so the example later on will be very nasty, very tricky. I mean, it's not easy, right? It's not easy, but yeah. So this position again is black to play. You can pause the video if you want. Right, it's black to play. Right, so I guess you can easily get it correct because it actually very similar in a previous example, the f5 one, right? So the king from h3 go to g4 and f5 check, that one. So look at this. The king is protecting the queen. So this is what we can do, something like some tactics called deflection, f6. You take, and okay, thank you for the free queen. So after f6, if you take with the queen, and now you block your escape square, so it's actually a checkmate. Now, that's mean the f pawn is untouchable, so you have to move the king. But now we go check. It is checkmate if the queen cannot block, right? So after queen block, again the king is defending the queen, so we're trying to deflect the king. You go check. If you go check here, then pawn takes, then we got nothing. So imagine this. Queen d2 will be a checkmate if the king cannot escape to e5. So I guess you can easily guess the move. So the move here is e5. If you take, then okay, again free queen. So you have to take with the pawn, and then it's just checkmate on this diagonal. So basically, many tactics happen in the color of square. So either on dark square or light square. You know, in this case, dark square. In the previous case, it happened on the light square. Alright, so let's move on to the next one. Alright, so this one is getting a little bit harder. This one is a little bit harder because it is not a forcing move. It is actually a waiting move, a silent move actually. So there's one story actually. This actually happened in my game. Not this exact position, but a similar position. Happened in my game 2 years ago in a very important tournament, in a real game, you know, in a very important tournament. And I'm white pieces here. I'm about to promote, and just imagine this. All right. So first of all, you can solve this one first. All right. Ready? So the move here is actually queen b4. So in my position, I believe the king was on c7. I just imagine the king is on c7, and I play the move queen b4. Imagine in my game the king is on c7, and opponent just play queen a6 checkmate. Right, so it's actually very like a tragic comedy. Yeah, opponent just checkmate me like that. So it is a very painful but very nice lesson. Alright, so in this case, queen b4 is actually the winning move. So what's the idea? Again, it is actually zugzwang. So the queen have to keep an eye on this diagonal because you have to pin this pawn, otherwise we're gonna promote. So you can't give any check because we just promote. And now there's no square for your king. So you have to move your queen on this diagonal. Let's look at it one by one. If you go to d5, now the idea is we want to go check, and the brilliant move, queen b3 check, forking the king and the queen. You take, okay, we promote, and it's a skewer, we win the queen. If you go to e4, it's a free queen. If you go to f3, again we go check, check, same thing. If you go to g2 instead, okay, now we go queen a3 and queen b2, and same thing. That means the only move is queen h1, so that after we check and we can't get our queen to b1 square, we check. However, in this position we can still give some check. So queen a3 check, king b6. If you go king b5, then we just go check. If your king moves to the a file, then okay, now we can do the same thing. So the king have to go forward to the c file. Alright, then we just move our king away, and next move we promote. Right, in this position, okay, the king is covered the a7 square, and we can't go king b8 because that just block our pass pawn. We don't want to block our pass pawn. So after check, king b5 check, king c4, okay, we just go king here. And if you go check, I believe king a6, right? Check, queen b6. Right, and there's no check, right? Yeah. So after queen a2 check, let's say we go king b6. Now we go check. Again, if you go to the a file, we go check and queen b1 check. Same thing. So you have to move to the c file. So let's say you play king c5. Now we go to king a7 and just promote. Sorry, and now there's no check. So we have to, okay, maybe pin our pawn like this. But okay, we just go check, and then after your king move, anyway, we move our king. For instance, if you go king d5, we move our king, and then next move we promote to a queen. And you can't even give check here because of queen b5 check. Alright, so after queen b2 check, you can't go here because you just promote. You can't go to the a5, you can't go to c5. So it seems like the black king can go to c7. Alright, we still can't promote because of the pin. But here comes the brilliant move. Deflection again. Break this pin. So queen h2 check. Brilliant move. Forking the king and the queen. So basically this is a very similar tactic lah. And then after takes, it's a skewer. Right, and that's how we win. So this one is actually getting a little bit harder, but okay, but it's still okay. Alright, now let's look at another one. Alright, this one. So again, you can pause the video if you want. Alright, so the winning move here is queen h1. So basically you want to, okay, remember a queen can't checkmate. Right, if you go check here, we just go king takes, there's queen g3 checkmate, but just go king here. And you can't checkmate a king with a lonely queen. You can't do that because there's no support for you to checkmate with a single queen. So you want to get some checkmate here, basically. So queen g1 seems very natural, right? Queen g3. Unfortunately, there's one defense by black, which is queen c7, and there's no very good. I didn't see any continuation for white here. So the move here is actually queen h1 check. You have to move the king away, and now we go queen e4 check. Here I have to move the queen, And now, okay, let's say you play queen f4 here. It seems like, oh, there's no queen c7. Unfortunately, there's king g2. Again, you can't checkmate with a single queen. So the move here is actually just go queen e6. And you notice that the queen is trapped. Wait, the queen is not trapped. There's still 2 square for the queen. f8 and c7. But if you go f8 or c7, doesn't really matter. We go queen d6, threatening your queen and the checkmate square. So that means you have to trade, and then we just got a pass pawn, and then we just promote to queen and just completely winning. f8 is just totally same thing. Queen d6. Alright, so let's look at our last example. And this is okay. I think it's a hard one, but it is okay if you calculate correctly, and it's actually quite easy. If your calculation is good, actually quite easy. Right. So the move here. So obviously you can see that basically we want something like we want to checkmate the king lah. But again, you know, a single queen can't checkmate. Right. So my first instinct was d3 to go checkmate. Unfortunately, he can go king e3, and like I say, we can't checkmate with a single queen. And black just up too many pawns. I can't checkmate, and then black just winning. So this pawn has to cover this square, and the queen covered this 2 light square, right? And then we want to checkmate somewhere here. So the move here is queen g2. Keep controlling on the e4, f3, and then the e3 square. Now, queen g4 is a huge threat, and there's only one defense. e4, there's check and checkmate, so there's only one defense, which is f5. Right. Oh, by the way, the first position, if you play like king g1, queen g1, trying to go checkmate, like some same idea, then okay, king e4. Now, black's king started to escape on the light square because the queen didn't cover that square. Let's say play queen f1 check. Okay, the same thing. And now king f4 is a good move. After okay, let's say queen e2, trying to go for checkmate on g4. Okay, then e4. Then the king escaped anyway. By the way, the king can't go to f2 because now we can actually check and play king g3. Yeah, and then there's no defense to the checkmate. So in this case, the king actually can support the queen to checkmate. And that's why queen g2 was the move. So f5 was the only move. Now, again, we want to make threats, right? We want to checkmate. Queen f1 is not the move because the king run. And alright, in this case, king f4 is queen e2 checkmate. Unfortunately, now king f2 work because if you go check, king f1. And the problem is you can't go king g3 because of f4. So black actually saved the king. So this is not an answer. Well, the answer is we want to keep controlling this square and make checkmate threats. So queen e2. Now the threat is queen e3 checkmate. Now how do you stop this checkmate? No way, right? So basically, black needs to create an escape path for his king. So sorry. So e4 looks pretty natural, right? To have an escape square, and now here comes the brilliant move, right? So I'm thinking about queen h2 actually, but the problem is after king f3 again we simply can't checkmate the king. The king will run. Then I'm thinking, okay, how? So look at the whole board. So I know, okay, so obviously we can't only trying to win this king. We need to see every of his pieces placement. So look at this queen. So the move here is queen to e1. Now the threat is queen g3 checkmate, and we're eyeing on that queen. So let's say you play king f3, it's checkmate. So that means you have to escape to e5, but then d4 check, and it's a discovered check. We win the queen and we win the game. Right, so this is the answer. Right? Yeah. So basically that's all for today. Alright, so thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something. And yeah, so keep following my road to Grandmaster. So take care and bye.